Hello everyone, welcome to Jack's Reading Corner. I am Jack, and it's Top 5 Wednesday time. If you are new to Top 5 Wednesday, it is a Goodreads group originally created by Ginger Reads Lady, who passed on the torch to Sam from Thoughts on Tomes, and if you are interested, I will post the link to the Goodreads group below. Or if you just want to look at the topics and come up with an idea and not necessarily join the group, but you just want to do this, that's cool too. So it is in this group, basically, we are given topics to do each Wednesday of the month and do our top 5 of that topic. So this week's topic is top 5 SSF Booktubers, basically science fiction, fantasy booktubers. This is a crossover with the SSF Awards. Okay, so this one was pretty easy for me because I am a fan. Fantasy is my number one genre, so I would always look out for booktubers that loved fantasy, and I do want to get into sci-fi. I think most of these people are fantasy. I don't know if there's any sci-fi booktubers on here. So, like I said, this is pretty easy to do. Okay, so my number one is Reagan from Peruse Projects. She has got me interested in quite a few series, like the books written by Cinda Williams-Chima. The first one, the Seven Realms series. Let's see, what else has she got me into? I'm trying to think. Dang it, I can't think of the other series that she's gotten me into. Let's see, let me look at my shelf. What is it? Crap. What is that one series called? She's also got me into, there's another series that she got me into and I can't find the books. Where is it? It should be in here somewhere. I do not know where. There's another major series that she's doing, like, I guess she got me into Michael J. Sullivan's books. That might be Eliot Brooks. I'm sorry, I can't think of the books that she got me into. You might have them over here. I don't know. I can't think of the ones that because there were a couple. One particular series. I want to say she was the one that got me into this book series. I don't think, but I'm not 100% sure if it was her. But the Riya Chronicles Revelations. This is the first volume. It was an ebook originally, and this is, I think, consists of 2 novellas into one big volume. It's basically about these 2 bandits, Hadrian and Royce, who basically steal things, who, will be hired, or thieves for hire. And then in the first book, they are hired to steal this sword, but it results in them getting framed for the murder of the king of that kingdom, and they are sent to prison, but the princess sets them free, believing that they didn't do it, and has them kidnap her brother and go find answers. It's such a fun, thrilling series. Unfortunately, there was one series and I couldn't get beyond that she did talk about, which is the Brent Weeks' series, the Lightbringer series or something. I mean, it was not bad. It's just there were aspects about it that I didn't like. So, but this one I really enjoyed. It's really fun. Sword and sorcery. I think it would be considered a sword and sorcery book. The characters are funny and fun, and it was a great read. I'm glad that she got me in. I'm glad that her talking about it got me into it. She's also a fan of Brandon Sanderson. But I believe there's another booktuber on here maybe not. No, I think she was the one who got me to get Brandon Sanderson's books. which are also a great, fun staple of fantasy. He's known for taking tropes and spinning them on their head and mixing them up and make them even more interesting. And just makes these fun, exciting, thrilling stories. I've read Mistborn, and to be fair, that's it right now. But yeah, definitely recommend her channel if you like for fantasy fans. Booktuber number 2 is Sam from Thoughts on Tomes, the host of Tome Topple. Top 5 Wednesday and Tome Topple, which will be coming up, which is coming up April 13th through the 26th. If you are interested in that, she is another very interesting booktuber. She's a very unique style. Like, she wears a lot of like blacks and grays in her wardrobe, but she is the one who got me interested in Leigh Bardugo's work. And like the Grisha trilogy. She also is for the Six of Crows duology. She has started a new duology, which is the one about a character from the Grisha trilogy, Nikolai, who is the most charming, beloved character in the series and my favorite. And she also got me interested in this one, Scott Lynch's The Gentle and Bastard series by Scott Lynch. This is the first book, and yeah, I haven't progressed much in it, but I'm really liking it so far. And she's getting kind of interested in a little more in sci-fi too. Let's see, what else has she got me into? She's also a fan of the Night Circus and got me in. Although to be fair, it reminded me of my love for that book. Kind of reminded me of that book and how I need to reread it because it's been a long time since I read it. She got me intrigued by the what is this series called? This series, the Expanse series, or at least that's what the TV show is called, which is one of my first sci-fi I'm considering. And again, another one that I need to progress a little bit more in. The space, it's really cool so far. I mean, the science kind of does go over my head a little bit, but it's still a cool concept. And I think she's the one who got me into Vicious. She got me into Vicious, and she's got me curious about the Magician's books. Now, I don't know if I got into the series first, before, or if I got into the series after she talked about it. And she got me interested in Vicious 2, which is one of my favorites. And she's a big fan of pirates too. So, okay, next is number 3, Sam's Nonsense. Another Sam. There's 3 Sams that I actually watched. Sam from Thoughts on Tomes, Sam's Nonsense, and there's also another Sam whose channel name I cannot pronounce, who is a big fan of Diana Gabaldon's Outlander series. I think her name refers to that. It refers to actually the nickname they give Claire when she goes to the past, back to Scotland. But unfortunately, I can't remember. But Sam, this is a pretty easy one to remember. This is one of the easier ones to know what she got me into, which is Robin Hobb's books. The Realm of the Elderling series. It's because of her and Jean from Jane's Bookish Thoughts, who is the reason who got me into that series. And I finally read the two of Robin Hobb's books, The Assassin's Apprentice and Royal Assassin. It's a really fun series about this young boy, Fitz, who is the son of who's the bastard son of the prince of one of the princes of this kingdom. There are 3 princes, and he is taken in by his grandfather, the king. But of course, his grandfather can't entirely acknowledge him because he is a bastard, And he is apprenticed to the stable master, and then Shrew takes more notice of him and apprentices him to his assassin Shade, and that's where the title comes in. And there's a little bit of there's more political intrigue than magic, but there's a little magic in the story. It's about this kid's life. He has the skill, which is the ability to connect with a person's mind meld kind of with someone. Kind of like the, I can't remember what his race was called, but what Spock was. Can do kind of what, and he also has the wit, which is, mind melding with animals, but that he is told that can be very dangerous because then you will become more beast than man. And it's just about his life, and, how it's not always that great, and how he has to sacrifice quite a bit, but he's still very much loved. And I'm trying to think what else did she introduce me to. That's the major one that she introduced me to. Because it was Jean from Jean's Bookish Thought who introduced me to, who kind of introduced me to, I can't remember what the series is called, but the first book is, I cannot think today. First book is the, Naomi Novak's. His Majesty's Dragons is the first book. Jean introduced me to that. But Jean also is not just fantasy. Because there were some booktubers that I can mention, but they aren't just fantasy booktubers. And then number 4, this one is in this booktubers introduced me quite a lot. And that is Eliot Brooks. She has introduced me to, which I guess she probably just didn't realize it, because it was one of these situations where it was on her shelf. I saw it on her shelf, but then she said on one of her videos, "Really, Rascal?" that she has not read the series, or maybe only read the first book, but then is that's why, because I have His Majesty's Dragons right here. And Reagan also introduced me to, I'm sorry, this video is kind of all over the place right now, but Reagan introduced me to The Name of the Wind. That's right, she introduced me to The Name of the Wind. But Eliot Brooks talked about this book, this book, I saw it on her shelf, and this was around the time when I was trying to get into more adult fantasy books, so I saw this one, and it isn't a teenage main character in this book, but it's mostly for adults. She kind of introduced me to this one, and she also was the one who introduced me to the Witcher series, which I still have not started. Let's see what else has she introduced me to. Let's see what else. And she's also a Brandon Sanderson reader as well. In fact, she is doing a current read-along of Mistborn and the Witcher series. I think she's doing a Cosmere Universe read-along, where she does all of Brandon Sanderson's books. Obviously she's also a Brandon Sanderson fan, has got me interested. In fact, she's the reason I got really excited about his other series, A Way of Kings, which I have not started reading. I'm trying to think of what else. What are all these? Oh, that's my already self-taught books. It is so great to find booktubers that love fantasy as much as I do. And then, now the last one, although I'm going to do a bonus one, a 6th person, but number 5, the final one, is Holly Hart's books. Now, this is actually a new sci-fi booktuber, fantasy sci-fi booktuber that I got into recently. And she kind of got me interested in the series Dwarves. And you could say she indirectly was the reason I decided to buy Orcs, the book's Orcs by Stan Nichols, because I'm definitely someone who wants to expand and go beyond like stories about elves and fairies and witches and vampires and werewolves. Although I kind of left the vampires and werewolves a long time ago, a while back, a couple years ago. So I have not read the series yet, but I definitely want to, and it is risky, and I love like how she talks, the way she talks about her fantasy series. I think she mostly does fantasy books. But yeah, she's a very new booktuber at least for me. Not a new booktuber in general, but she's definitely got me more intrigued. I mean, more aware of other fantasy books. And then the bonus person I wanted to mention, I was originally gonna mention, but then I was thinking, is this person like mostly fantasy? It's like I think she reads other things. Although, actually, now that I think about it, I watched one of her videos last night where she does mention that she wants to expand herself, so maybe she was originally more so fantasy. But, that's Jess Reads Books. And she, along with Natasha from My Reading Is On, have kind of got me back into being interested in Stephen King. Which, I've always liked Stephen King, but I still have not read a lot of his books. I've only read a handful of his books. And I think most of my exposure to King was the on-screen version of his books. Whether he wrote it or someone else wrote it for him. Although I do agree, that sometimes his monsters don't translate well on the screen, because they can be, especially back in the 80s and the 90s with the technology and stuff. And I think even he admitted this, that sometimes when you get the reveal of the monster, that's why it doesn't happen until the very end of the story, because it's not as good or as scary when you actually see the monster. Now, some people might disagree, but I think most horror movie, when you're talking horror movies, would agree that by the end of the story, it kind of, if you see the monster, it's like, it makes sense at the end, because then it's going to be over. Because it won't be as scary if you know what the monster looks like. I mean, it's still scary because it's ugly and gross and, really strong and powerful and whatever. But still, but she's the one that introduced me to, the series The Band. Because Kings of Wild is the first book. And then the second one is Bloody Rose. And I don't know if this is just going to be duology or if the author is going to write any more books. But, and I mentioned Stephen King. I know Stephen King is mostly horror. But horror has a lot of supernatural. There's a subgenre of horror that's supernatural related, and and he has a couple of and he has a big fantasy series, and then a couple other books that are fantasy related, that are more fantasy. Like some of them involve fantasy, sci-fi, like time travel. There's the 11. That one there's Under the Dome, there's 11/26/63, I think, and that's about this guy who travels back in time to stop the Kennedy assassination. Like I said, Under the Dome is basically a bunch of people trapped. Their place is covered by a giant dome. Which they kind of don't have that in the show Haven, because Haven is based on one of his short stories, The Colorado Kid, and I feel like they kind of take some of his other plots. I think what his other sci-fi books are. I feel like no, that's actually more supernatural. But anyway, like I said, she introduced me to the Witcher series. Oh no, wait, sorry. This video is just, I'm so mixed up with this video. The Band series. Surprisingly, I can't think of what else. So yeah, those are my top 5, SSF, Booktubers. Oh, and she also said you can include you don't have to just pick booktubers. You can say book bloggers, or like, other other means of talking about other sites where you can talk about books. So if you guys do this topic, it's not just booktubers. You can talk about other people who talk about books on their source of, talking about and socializing and stuff like that. So if you like this video, I'm sorry it was kind of all over the place. But if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I hope you are enjoying your reading. Alright, bye!